We'll be starting in a
How
few
you doing?
seconds,
Hey,
guys.
long time no see. How you been, all right?
Doing okay.
Garage looks great.
How are you?
Thank you.
Good.
Okay.
Garage looks nice.
Thank you.
Nice getting all that tree work done too, right?
John.
Yeah.
They do all the trimming and everything, kind of.
Yeah, I got
John,
the,
John.
yeah, well, the, cleaned up the one in the back.
Yeah.
Which is nice, that everyone was afraid of, and they cabled that one.
Right.
So
Hi, John and
I
John.
had to grind a stump today too, and make the driveway a little wider.
Good.
There's a stump in the way, so yeah,
Nice.
I'm pretty happy with the way it's all coming out.
Sorry, Jonathan, I'll have to call you Jonathan just because you're both on the phone, so we know who's who.
Oh, that's great. Hey, it's Joe, can you hear me?
Yes, there's just a lot of noise in the background.
All right, I'll fix that.
Okay, thank you.
Poor kids.
I just figure, let's take care of that right away. Oh, is it? All right, welcome to the August 5th, 2024 Village Board meeting. If you could please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Before I get into the agenda, I would like to make a public announcement, just to make sure everyone is aware. It came to our attention last Wednesday that there was some unauthorized use of our water supply, and we have taken this very seriously. We ended up contacting the Dutchess County Sheriff's Department. A detective is doing a thorough investigation on this, and we will continue to take whatever measures we need to recover any of our lost revenues from this. However, since it is an ongoing investigation, we are not able to get into any of the details at this time. Once we can, we will. I just want to ensure all of the residents and taxpayers of the village or water users that we are taking this very seriously and pursuing this as best we can. We will put this information out on the website so that this reaches hopefully more people. So it's an unfortunate issue, and hopefully we can resolve this quickly. All right, any questions regarding that?
No.
Okay. All right. All right, so we are still wrapping up our last year's budget. So there are some budget modifications just to make sure everything all checks and balances here from the different lines. The overall budget has not been exceeded or changed. This is just lines where we guessed a number and we came in higher on some, lower on the others, so it's just moving things around to make everything balance out. This is the final time for any modifications. This happens every year at the end of the budget year when we are trying to finalize and close out our books. So I don't know, does anybody have any questions regarding any of this?
No, I looked it over. Everything seems, there's nothing crazy or out of line here.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the budget modifications as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. And last week, we had the Anderson Way Water Main Replacement Project bid opening. And Labella Engineering is in charge of this project. And you'll see on the documents that the 3 lowest bids are there. There was, I don't remember how many in total.
13.
13, okay.
13.
13, thank you, John. So Labella is recommending that we go with Amity Construction at the $397,991. John, is there anything that needs to be said further on that bid?
No, I mean, the bids there were 4 bids at the bottom that were very tight. I'm comfortable with the numbers. If you have the funding,
Okay.
I would recommend awarding it.
All right, so at this point, we can award it, but to be clear, currently, we have $150,000 through a CDBG grant that we could start the project with, and then we're gonna have to go out for bond to get the additional funding to see this project to fruition. In the meantime, we can also apply for a new CDBG grant to hopefully secure either an additional 150, or if we could get the full amount needed to cover the project, and then we could reimburse the bond money from that. So I think that's the plan for us, is to move forward, award to this company, and start with the 150,000 that we currently have, and then go out to bond for the additional, and also write the CDBG grant to try to get the remaining balance.
Try to recoup it.
Yeah.
Jonathan, I just have a quick question with Amity. You've worked with them in the past?
No, this is John.
John, I'm sorry.
Zarowski from.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm John. Yeah, we actually, we've worked with Amity in Wawarsing, where we created a new water district, and they were wonderful to work with. Very few change orders. They got the job done, and actually was putting water main with water services in. So a very similar job. They did a great job.
Right.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, comforting.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
to hear, for sure.
Any other questions regarding this? Is everybody comfortable with awarding and then seeking additional funds?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. Yeah, we've been talking about this for a couple of years, trying to get grants and trying to move forward, so.
Yeah.
And that 150K grant that we have there's a time on that.
Yes, there's a ticking time on that I believe it has to be spent by the end of the year. Yeah,
Yeah.
It needs to be at least awarded to a contractor before.
that gives us a little better
Oh, that's
breathing room.
some leeway, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually you
True.
can, if it falls into next year,
Yeah.
usually we'll give you, once it's awarded, we'll give you a little bit of grace period. But
Okay.
it needs to be out
All right,
this fall.
okay, I like that. That gives me a little breathing room, okay.
So John, what would the time frame be if we award it tonight? Is this something that we can try to hold off for until we start seeking other funding and try to push it towards the, wait until mid-fall sometime, or?
I don't
Well,
think
I mean, we're already at the beginning of August. We're
Yeah.
gonna get the award letter out. They have to get their bonds and insurance into us.
so. They're not
So it's
starting
gonna be
until
into
October.
September before we're really starting the project,
Yeah.
and then giving us submittals and things like that. So they're not gonna
Right.
be hitting the ground until
October.
mid to late September, even if we,
Okay.
into October if we
Okay.
award it.
So I don't think
Yeah, I
it's
know.
something we can wait on.
Yeah, okay.
Which is, it being that late, then that's
Yeah,
why I said it's going into next year, because you're gonna run out of, you're not gonna be able to get asphalt.
right, we're gonna run out of the construction season, yeah.
Right, so we'll only be able to put binder down at best before the winter.
Okay,
Okay. Good.
okay.
it might be the only smooth spot on the road.
All right, so I'll make the motion to move forward with this.
I'll second this.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So the zoning board of appeals is requesting to be lead agency for 15 Memorial Avenue in a change of use application. Does anybody have any questions regarding that?
Not here, no.
Nope.
I think it's pretty
Yep.
straightforward. All right, so can I entertain a motion to give the zoning board lead agency?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, next we have a pay request for Castleman, pay request number 6 in the amount of $68,291.04 for the Lower Baxter Treatment Plant. I'm just gonna express my concerns with this. This project has been delayed tremendously. This project was supposed to have been done the end of last year. I know there were some supply chain issues, but there have been a lot of other issues occurring that have caused this delay, which is then causing a delay for us to secure all of our water and have everything up and running. And so we're not able to motivate Castleman to get this job on a fast track or moving at a regular pace. And so I'm gonna, at this point, my recommendation to the board is that we table this payment until we see better work being done by Castleman. John, is there anything that you wanna add to that, or?
Well, I mean, the contract language does say we're supposed to be paying them, but I think right now, because we are in liquidated damage territory, that I think we're justified in holding the payment.
So, I mean, I'm only suggesting that we hold it to our second meeting in August and hope that maybe this sends a strong enough message that, you know, if this doesn't move, we are definitely pulling the trigger on liquidated damages. So that I'm hoping then, by just kicking this to our very next meeting, it will motivate them, is what I'm hopeful of. Does that make sense?
It does, and this is Joe. I would agree with that course of action. You won't hurt yourself by holding it at least one meeting.
Okay, thank you. So I don't know how the rest of the board
I would
feels.
like-
Oh, go ahead, John.
Can I chip in? I would say that the threat of, I've been threatening liquidated damages, I did get their attention.
Yep,
They did get the SCADA up or they're working on getting the SCADA up and running. They're tweaking it right now, so we're
Okay.
getting close.
okay,
And they're talking about load testing the generator, so they are listening at least.
Yeah.
I think this will send a very good message.
okay. All right, so I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I guess that would be my recommendation, that we table it for tonight and that we put it on for payment at our second meeting in August.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
it. I'm fine with it.
So
Yeah,
can I
that works
get
for
a
me.
motion for that? Or I'll make the motion that we table this until our second meeting in August for payment.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have pay request number 12 for TNA construction for amount of $47,797.42. This is for Lower Baxter Water Supply Project. TNA has been working very well with the village and getting the job done. I have no issues with TNA construction. So I'd make a motion to make payment to pay request number 12.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion?
We're almost done with this contract, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. we do it
well,
Until.
wait
Until we're not,
for it.
but-
All right, so if no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 So, what you asked for, Steve. The very next step
We are not
is,
almost done.
yes, so as you know, TNA has been doing all the construction work for Lower Baxter. When we're making the connections, to the end of Grandview, it was determined that the size and condition of the Grandview water main is not at a level to receive all of the water that now is gonna be heading that way. So it was decided that, the Grandview water main needs to be increased in size and condition, being new. So we went out because we're desperately trying to get this all online as quickly as possible. Like I said, it's been delayed almost a year now. We did get approval because this has been an emergency situation. We've had water issues. The health department did give us approval if the contractor, TNA Construction, was willing and able to continue as this being now an amended addition to their contract for the Lower Baxter project, since it's still part of that project, that we could have them submit a cost and approve for them to move forward with that replacement. In order to do that, it was requiring us now to amend the seeker to include all of Grandview Avenue, where originally it was just the connection point. So Joe, is there anything that you need to walk us through for this seeker amendment?
Yeah, so the seeker amendment comes to the conclusion that this change order is in furtherance of the original intent of the contract and the project. John did an updated environmental assessment form, which envelops it into the project, and there's enough review at this point, based on all of that, for I think you to reasonably conclude that there's no additional potentially adverse impacts from adding this to the project. The thing you need to be careful of is a term you may be familiar with, is you can't have a segmented seeker review where you do two pieces of a project such that both projects don't get the same level of environmental review that they would if they were reviewed together. In this case, I know that John and I are very comfortable that you're not doing that. You have the revised EAF, and so if you're comfortable with it, the resolutions you have in front of you tonight will amend the neg deck, and you already authorized signing the contract, so you'll be doing the neg deck before the work actually starts, and you'll be in good shape. So I would recommend that you adopt it.
Okay, and John, if you can walk us through this, I believe this is the final part that the health department needs in order to give us the total thumbs up on moving forward with this?
Yeah, this was a requirement of one of the comments we got from the Department of Health is the status of the EAF on there, and then they just were having a little heartburn because we just said it went to Grandview Avenue. We always intended for it to make it to the water main, the 16-inch main on George Coleman Boulevard. But both EFS and the Health Department want us to just go through this a little extra step to reaffirm secret.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions regarding this?
I don't have any questions, but what would our motion be then?
That we're approving this resolution.
Approving the resolution?
As Joe has prepared it.
Okay. Yep, okay.
So it's just, it was originally intended, it's just clarifying that, amending it.
Right, and the resolution number up top, Jennifer, is the 851? Okay.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
All right, you want to make a motion?
So I'll make the motion that we accept resolution 8-5-1, 2024.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. So we have a request to waive a penalty on a water account 10613. As you can see with the submittal, it was due to the a family death as to why it had been paid late, and so they've asked for the penalty to be waived. I don't have an issue with that. Certainly, there are times when our lives go sideways on us and things happen, and this person has always been on time, so it's not a repeat offender.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, and just to be clear, a lot of times we deny the waivers when it's a water leak. This is not the case, this is
No.
just a late payment.
It's just late payment.
Yeah, so I have no problem with that.
All right,
Nope.
so I'll make the motion to waive the penalty on account 10613.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then we have the Metro North Treasurer's Report for June of 2024. Anybody have any questions regarding the Treasurer's Report for a total of 11,107.23?
Nope.
Nope.
All right, so can I get a motion to approve the Treasurer's Report?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, engineers, we've got 2 engineers. John Zarowski, do you have anything else for the board?
Just that Gary at P&A Construction is gonna be hitting the ground running, starting midweek with doing some test pitting to verify locations of a couple of key points on the project. He wants to start milling on Friday, but unless I get the health department to give me something verbally at least, I'm gonna make him hold off.
Okay,
I wanna get this in, but he's talking, we'll probably have this water line in by the end of September if everything works out.
and that's the water main in, but then we have to still make all the service connections? Or does that include the service
Yeah.
connections?
Well, that would be with the service connections. The
If-
water main will probably be live by the early September.
Okay. And so just to be clear, this new water main is going parallel to the existing water main, and then we'll make the connections once we have that live, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Anything else, John, before I move to Jonathan?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right,
If I can ask a question, I hope it's a simple one. So if we're looking at the end of September for the new Grandview line to be live, how does that fall in line with the new Lower Baxter Wells
That's a good question.
being in line and ready to be operated? I know with the Board of Health and the State Board of Health.
Yeah. Well, right now, we're dealing with a severe restriction in the Grandview line.
Right.
We are working on doing the completion of works. We'll have that into the health department. We'll get permission to run the plant. It's just that we can't until we get this line done. We can add a little bit to it.
Yeah,
I'm hoping to talk to the health department, and right now, the emergency well that we've been trying to use is just too big.
too much, yeah.
And it requires too much pressure for the minimum flow. And I'm trying to get the health department to give us permission, and it's just a simple, send them a request to use one of the smaller wells so that we can at least add maybe 20 gallons per minute, or hopefully, to the system.
Because right now with
So we can get,
I'm sorry, John, just right now with, you know, our water emergency that we've been running Baxter 1 and Baxter 2, which are bedrock wells, and they need to be rested, and they haven't had the opportunity to rest them because we've had to pull every drop we can. So we're hoping at some point to possibly bring on one of the smaller wells and let those 2 wells rest
Right.
if we need that, so. Sorry, John, go ahead.
yeah, no problem. Those 2 wells combined are only doing about 20 gallons per minute. That's been dropping.
Right,
So if we can get health department permission, I think we should go for turning on one of the other wells until, even before we get completion of works.
right, so we can get a partial, and get their approval to be able to do that, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for John?
Nope. Thanks,
Okay,
John.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, you too. Jonathan, you're up.
All right, I'll be really brief, and then if you have to add anything you can, but,
Okay.
We're continuing work on the water side with the lead service line inventory. Lori, I know we still have to touch base, but, we have a good start. We basically completed the preliminary inventory, and we'll just add any historical research to it as we go. That's due October 14th. We're working with Department of Health with the Falling Common municipal connection, going back and forth with Jim T to come up with an option for the municipal side after test pits were completed. And then on the wastewater end, we're still progressing our I&I study just in the data collection phase with the flow metering.
Great. Thank you, John. Any questions for John?
No.
All right, thank you, John.
No problem.
Joe, do you have anything for the board?
So, Mayor, I don't have anything specific unless you'd like me to report on the IMA discussions. I wondered if perhaps you wanted to do that, but I'm happy to do it. Other than that, I don't have any legal updates because a lot of mine was wrapped up with the, the seeker resolution, et
Right.
cetera. But I'm happy to do it if you want me to.
I think at this time, we'll pass on that for the moment.
Yeah, I think that's smart, because we're still, I'll just mention that we did have some contact with the town on this, and we're following up with them. So there's at least been contact,
Yes.
and we're hopeful that it will lead to further discussion.
Yes, thank you, Joe. All right, so on to bills. We have our July bills in the amount of, oh,
Change it because we pulled the estimate,
oh,
so we
Okay.
have number that's in there.
thank you. So we have the July bills minus the Castleman bill for the moment in the total of $202,592.10. Can I get a motion to approve our July bills?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And can I get a motion, or we don't need a motion for public comment? Just move into public comment.
Move into it.
So,
That's me.
do you have some public comment, Mike?
I do today.
All right, so identify yourself, please.
Mike Rendish, 136 East Main Street. Some of you know me, I was a regular here for a good stretch of a couple of years, going back about 3 years ago. Prompted by the goings-on at my next-door neighbors at 140 and 146 East Main Street, which is the restaurant and the house they own next door to that. I'm the next-door neighbor, I'm the one who just built the garage.
Gotcha.
You don't know me. So I slacked off coming to meetings, and while I was away, things have been going on that concern me very much. I didn't even realize any of this until I got a certified letter the other day for the public hearing at the next planning board meeting, which I won't be able to attend in person because I'm traveling, but I will have written comments for that.
Okay.
But since this is an opportunity to talk to somebody, I showed up today just to voice my insistence that that cannot pass. I see, I guess this was addressed here initially was they petitioned this board for the rezoning of the lot. It's just an outrageous request, in my opinion. Going back again 3 years ago, when I first took notice of what was going on at the restaurant, my only concern back then, I was okay, not even okay, but I was accepting the fact that this was a really large building, much, much larger than what was there. A very unusual parking arrangement that was being permitted. The village bent over backwards to allow them to build a large facility and so on. And then we all know what happened after that, right? All hell broke loose, and they did what they did. And since then, and I stopped coming here and so on, I see, obviously, congratulations, they have corrected all of the original changes that had happened to what it is now. It looks pretty nice. But anyhow, going back to 3 years ago, I was okay with what was happening there. My only concern, knowing that they owned the house next door, was that the restaurant stayed on the restaurant side and the residential property stayed a residential property. The assurance was that that would in fact be the case. I was naive at that point, even in just being that alone, because what happened, of course, was they manipulated that property anyhow, not necessarily, you know, taking it over as restaurant property, but they cut down all the trees in the backyard, which was huge effect on my house. I mean, I could stand in my backyard now and see the faces of people at the traffic light. That was traumatic. My wife and I talked about moving at that point, saying there goes the neighborhood kind of thing. But, you know, we kind of calmed down, cooled down. We built a fence, which I'll get back to, along for $8,500 during COVID days when it was a little expensive to do things like that. We built that fence just to get back some semblance of privacy in our backyard that we had lost as a result of all that. I had come to various meetings, written letters, and talked quite extensively about what they did with the trees, about their installation of a diesel generator in the backyard of that building, installation of a flagpole, all clearly restaurant business. I still believe to this day that the propane feed from the restaurant feeds the house next door, which I don't think is an acceptable arrangement. I believe that's in violation of the zoning codes, but I believe that's still the case. I know they replaced the propane tanks, but that arrangement's still there. And finally, I guess I just want to, I've been rambling on, you know what I'm saying, I guess, but just call attention to, I guess I read the minutes from the last planning board meeting when Kurt presented, you know, the actual plans and drawings for what they intend to do, put the move the parking lot into the backyard. Really kind of really hurt when they call attention to that fence, that 6-foot wood fence that shall remain. Thank you. It's not their decision to whether that fence remains or not. It's my fence. And for them to highlight that in 2 points, actually, and they're addressing the points and say, hey, there's a wood fence that's, you know, this great fence that we have to, you know, answer some of the issues that you might have about neighbors and stuff. It's a fence that we built at our expense, that we never had to build before. We were here for 25 years. Everything was cool. Anyhow, I don't know, I guess your position ultimately, you'll get to say over whether to approve, this board, I guess, decides the zoning change.
The rezone, yeah.
The rezoning, if that happens. I don't know if that even gets to you, if it's pending what happens with the planning board, and I assume there's zoning board of appeals to happen.
Correct.
I feel very confident that this is going nowhere, just based on my experience with this board and those boards, but I can't say nothing, and I want to just get it out there that I will not, whatever I must do. I'm the next door neighbor. There's a comment in Diana's note to you, you know, making this blanket statement that it won't affect property values. Just by saying that doesn't make it so. I am positive that living next door to a parking lot is less valuable than living next door to a private residence, and not to mention their own building, which that property value would shrink as well, and that's not my concern. But that, you know, this, just give them an inch. Anyhow, I guess that's all I have to say about that.
All right.
And I just wanted to get it out there, and I guess I'm back to coming to the meetings again. I should not have let up.
Well, that's gonna be my suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the meetings, please.
Yeah, no, I will, and it's just so agitated. By the way, we didn't move. We invested considerably in our own property,
Right.
built a garage at, again, not cheap. And yeah, no, this can't happen. It just can't happen.
Okay, well, I
That's what
appreciate
I'm
you
saying.
coming out tonight,
Yeah.
and sorry that you
Yeah.
have to come out, but
Mhm.
I think, as Jerry said, it's best if you attend as many meetings as you can.
We will, of course. As I said, I will send written comments in for I'm actually gonna be in the air. I won't even be able to do the YouTube thing. But
Okay, well, thank you.
I could just recycle letters that I wrote 3 years ago, actually. This is exactly the same thing I'm gonna say. Anyhow, thank you.
All right, so can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting and, well, let's just get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And can I get a motion to go into executive session for litigation?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, Joe, I'll call you from my cell upstairs.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you. No, might want those with me. Since there's nobody to see in the back room.
You have to stay down here? It's a little warm down
Stay
here
live?
tonight.
What?
You're gonna stay live?
Yes.
Yes, that stays live. That's why we have to go upstairs.
Sit right here.
it upstairs, that's okay. I think I can handle it.
Open and close.
Open, close.
Yep.
Open.
Close, open, close?
Close,
Oh,
open,
yeah,
close,
right.
Yeah.
Close, close,
Always
open.
have to think about it. Close,
Alright.
open, close. Alright, so can I get a motion to close executive session?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can I get a motion to open the regular meeting back up?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So there were no decisions or votes taken in executive session. So can I get a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.